All right. Accelerators organization is Edwin Deras, your mentor session for the hour. Just got coming here. Grateful for the group. Grateful for you guys. Keep the questions coming. I feel like it's always important in anything that you do. I feel like it's always an important thing to be asking questions all the time. I always tell new staff, new people that come to work with us, one of the most important things that you guys can do is if you're coming on here, you got to be able to ask questions. So like they're part of my team, they're part of my staff, but I think it applies to anything in life. If you're asking questions and you're wanting to get solutions, I feel like it's just kind of like a sign that you're looking for an answer, you're wanting to get better, right? If you're never asking questions, like, okay, then you know what it is that you need to do and you kind of know and you have everything figured out, right? So asking questions, I think, is a really important thing. That way you're always advancing, always asking, being curious. Okay, how does this done? How can I do this? How can I get better? How can I improve my revenue to the next level? How can I do this? How can I do this? And I feel like sometimes what happens is a lot of times we're embarrassed to ask questions. We're embarrassed to say like, oh, maybe this question is kind of is not that smart. This question's kind of dumb. I'm not gonna ask this. Right. So it's not any question is not too dumb. I feel like just putting any question is really important because you're gonna get answers from a lot of mentors. So everybody has a different perspective on what you can do and what you cannot do. One person might say this, one person might say that, and I feel like there's no one way to do things, right? If you look at different billionaires, some have different styles between each other. If you look at Richard Branson, he has many different billion-dollar companies. Then you look at I don't know, Jeff Bezos. He has, I guess, it's maybe $1 billion company, and then other like or other companies that he has on the side. And then there's different people. There's Elon Musk has $2 billion companies, and then there's other people that have one sole focus or something like that. So there's no one way to do it, and that's the good thing about asking a question. You get a perspective of many different mentors here in the group. You get different perspectives, right? So, having said that, I'm gonna go ahead and get started with the first question. The first question comes from Zach Knock, and it says, "What are some creative ways to get financing if you can't get traditional bank financing?" My company, Diamond State Technologies, specializes in working with access control, automation, cameras, and security systems for both residential and commercial applications. The reason for my question is my company is going to hit a stopgap the first week of July. We did sell a large project, and I'm in the process of hiring 4 employees for the project. I'm going to need financing of 50 to 75,000 to cover existing overhead and to mobilize my crew to the site. This will only be temporary until the voice for the project hits my account 30-ish days later. Thank you, mentors, for your irreplaceable knowledge and insight on how to navigate growth I'm experiencing. So this is a great question, Zach. I need financing 50 to 75 to cover my existing overhead. So I mean, there's a lot of different things that I could say here. If you're looking to come up with 50 to 75,000 in a quick moment, I feel like that can be difficult. It can be easier for others. I would say like maybe a longer term thing you could do is setting up getting an SBA loan, which is what I got. I got a $150,000 SBA loan, which is what 3.75%, which is hard to beat. And so with that type of interest rate, it can be easier to make money on something like that versus something else that could be at a higher interest rate, right? So I would definitely look at SBA loans to see what that can help for you. And that's what I would recommend mainly for that if you're looking to do something like that. I mean, yeah, I would say mainly SBA loans and then also reaching out to friends and family. When I had issue in my reached out to my mom. I reached out to different people so I can get some. Like I think I needed like $30,000, and I was able to kind of put that money together by asking a bunch of people, and then I was able to pay pay what I needed to pay get through that cash flow issue that I had at that one moment. So having people that you can reach out to would probably be the best thing, and then yeah, I would just stick to that. And then another thing Yeah, I would stick to that, and then I know you're not asking about this, but even like in emergency situations, I have large credit card lines, so that's not like those are a higher interest rate, but those would be like an emergency situations that can help you get out of something. If you're gonna make 200% on it, and then you're willing to pay a certain percentage, that could be something that you can use as well. So it's just something to think about. But of course, you can't be paying right 22% interest for forever. All right, next question also comes from Zach Knock, and the question is, how do you hold employees accountable when they lose misplaced equipment any amount for a project? All right, business description and background of the question. My company, Diamond State Technology, specializes in working with access control, automation, cameras, and security systems. The reason for my question is an employee of mine misplaced $700 in hardware, causing me to reorder the equipment for the loss of $700. When I worked for the other alarm companies, they docked my pay until the equipment that was lost was repaid. This just seems unfair. Our equipment is pretty expensive, and docking pay doesn't sit right with me. Thank you, mentors, for your irreplaceable knowledge, and thank you for for making time to answer my question. So, Zach, I mean, this is a great question because the thing is like what you're talking about here is like, okay, you lost $700 of equipment. I'm curious to know like before. So this is one of your employees, right? Before this employee, how often had you ever lost equipment before this? Had you ever lost equipment? How long have you been doing this? How long did you go without losing equipment? And how long did this employee go with losing the equipment? Was it like on the first week on the job, the second week on the job, and then you went 3 years without losing equipment, or you never lost equipment? So you want to look at that aspect. Is this a frequent thing that happens in your business, or is this an infrequent thing, and that is like the first time you've seen something like that happen in your business? So I would just kind of look at that first to see how frequent it is. If it isn't frequent, um, I'll give you an example of something that I do in my company. I do dock people's pay and for certain things, and one of the things I do is like, so we do checks, we cash contractor checks, we cash big payroll checks, or we cash big company checks that are made out to general contractors and stuff. So there's a process that we have to follow to verify the funds of the check. So there's like maybe 2 3 steps, and then it's passed on to our verification team. So before I didn't used to dock people's pay, I would have a lot of issues of people cashing checks that weren't supposed to be cashed. And in a bank scenario, from what I know from friends that have worked in the bank, they just kind of fire you at that point. They say, okay, well, you didn't follow protocol, so you're finished or you're fired, so that type of thing, right? So I don't want to fire people for making mistakes, but I do have to have them pay because they know the rules that they have to follow, and so they're more careful with following the process. So now they all follow the process, whereas before we had a lot of issues with people not following protocol because sometimes they just don't think like, okay, this is it's whatever, I can follow, I cannot follow, there's no consequences. So, in my personal opinion, I would say docking the pay would be the best option. But at the same time, I would ask you and say, what are the things what is the steps that they need to follow in order to minimize the theft, right? You know what I'm saying? So I would say they need to do this, and this to prevent theft. And let's say when they got stolen, they left the door open, or I don't know, they left the truck light on, or they left the key in the engine, something like that. So like, if they didn't follow one of the 5 rules, maybe that could be a reason for it to be docked from their pay. But I guess you would have to kind of see what's fair in that situation. I'm not sure under what circumstance the equipment, the $700 of equipment was was misplaced or whatever you call it. So I would just take a look at that part and just take a look at that part from that perspective, I would say. Sorry guys, let me text my wife. She's blowing up my phone on mentor call. Perfect. All right. All right, next question here. The next question comes from Kristen Pitts. The question is, advice, tips on how to handle a running business with a family member who is micromanaging and afraid of change. Business description and background of question. I'm starting the first phase of taking over my father's business of 30 years to be eventually running it while he is still a majority shareholder. I am going to be in training, learning how everything works. I have worked there before, and it is still running as it did in the 1970s. There are a few updates that need to be made, especially for growth, and he is kind of open but afraid. It's hard to get him to see me as an adult because I'm ultimately still his daughter. Looking for strategies to build trust, become a value asset and trusted teammate. Communication strategies for old school to new school changes. Thank you. All right, Kristen. So this is a great question. I like that you asked this, and I feel like I said, all these are great questions, right? So I feel like this is a really good question, and I would just say, first of all, there's a lot to say about this type of question. Like, first of all, I just kind of Googled before the call. Like, 90% of all businesses in the U.S. are family-owned businesses, right? That means, running from a family. And so there's a lot of things that I would say here. I kind of wrote a couple questions down here. It's like, I would, what from your perspective, if I was you, if I would go back when I started working, because I also worked in a family-run business. For my mom and dad had their own little stores that they owned and stuff like that, and they still run them to this day. So there's a lot of things I would research up on this. I would read books. I would read people that have been involved in family businesses. I would kind of go deep in that aspect and just kind of go down that area and just kind of look over what are the things that happen in family businesses, right? I would ask yourself, is this a business you want to be in? What's the vision you have for your business? What's your salary goal? Why do you want to start this business versus another one? Does your dad want you to be an owner of this business? Are any siblings are going to be co-owners with you? Why did you decide to go into the family business? What do you like best about this family business? What don't you like? So I would just go deep into this whole thing about a family business because there's a lot of aspects at play. I've been through a lot of this stuff, so I kind of just I've been through that. My brother now works with my parents in their business and helps them grow, and he's had issues just like at anybody, except now he's dealing with his mom, my mom and dad, and he has that issue of he's like their son and stuff, and so I think there's a lot of complexities, like you're saying, like you're your dad's daughter, so how does how does he stop seeing you as his daughter versus like an adult and stuff like that. So number one, I would just kind of start answering, getting clear on like, okay, the dynamics of how that's going to play out, how it's already playing out, and what can you learn from other people's experiences and with people that have worked in the family type of business. I would say that. Another thing, let me see, I put another thing down here. Another thing, okay, so another thing I was looking at your question also, your dad's been in business since the 70s. So one thing I would say is most businesses don't survive past a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. So your dad's been in business in 40 plus years, maybe 50. And so your dad knows what he's doing. He's seen a lot of things along the way that have worked, that have not worked. He's seen changes in all types of economies and stuff. He's been through a bunch of recessions, and he's been able to still succeed. And so I would say as far as that, that's something that I would consider if I was in your position. And the next thing I'm curious to know is like, how well is your dad's business doing? Is it booming? Is it on the decline? Is it unprofitable? Is it a successful business? How much money is it making? How much money is it profiting? So I would look at that, because if it is a successful business and it is growing, then your dad has something he has something in that is working for him. Now, if your business is in decline and has been in decline for 30 years, it's been going down and down and down and down and it's going down, then maybe it's not something to learn from. And if it's not making money, maybe it's not something that you want to learn from. So those are different scenarios, right? So you want to take a look at that. Where is your parents' business at? And because a business that is growing is easier to learn from and it's easier to help, then there might be a turnaround situation where you have to come in, business is losing money every month, people are quitting left and right, the morale is bad, the culture is bad, people are stealing, other companies are stealing your employees, and the list can go on, right? So you want to take an analysis of like how is your company doing year over year? What's the trends looking like for your company? So I would take a look at that for sure, and I would say those are some important things to take into account. And another thing I would say also about your dad is you mentioned he's like micromanaging. He's afraid of change, right? So so like let's say running my business, and I when I was helping my parents in business, I will probably say similar things like, oh, they don't know what they're doing, this and that, and so it's kind of different because people run the business the way to fit to their personality sometimes. So what I say about when I hear afraid of change, the one thing that I think of is like your dad has been through in business so many years that he's seen so many things. He's had people come in and promise him, "Oh, I'm gonna improve your sales. I'm gonna double your sales. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that." And then he's seen people come in and flop or whatever or fail. And so he might be skeptical about, let's say, even though you're his daughter, like you saying, "Oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna implement this system. I'm gonna implement this idea." All these systems and all these ideas and all these changes cost money, right? Any change, any new report, any new thing that you're doing costs money for him, for the company. And so I don't know how great the margins are, even if they're great, even if they are great, everything needs to be kind of overseen so that what has been built up over since the 1970s doesn't come crumbling to a halt, because just because you've been in business so long doesn't mean that the business is going to continue. I can't remember I think Bear Stearns or something like that has been in business, was in business at one time, I think for over 80 years or something like that, and then they came crumbling down, right? So businesses that have been in a long time can eventually crumble based on not making the right decisions. Or you talk about like Sears or Kmart, some of these companies are going out of business, already bankrupt and stuff like that. So just because a business has been in business a long time doesn't mean that it's going to continue to be in business. Or there's companies that have been in the reverse, that have been in business a long time and they continue to be successful, right? Because they continue to do the right things, and those habits are what ultimately keep them successful. So I will kind of look at it from that perspective. Like, what is he? Is he very successful? Does he know what he's doing? And the profits are there to show for it. So maybe he might be right in being skeptical about wanting changes. So I would just be, and if your dad's being afraid and is scared of change, I feel like everybody, the majority of the population is scared to change or to change things. If I had somebody that came and wanted to make a bunch of changes for me, I would be concerned because I feel like I'm doing great. My business is growing every month. My business is growing every year. So I'm going to be skeptical if someone's coming in to want to make changes in my business, right? So that's what I would say about your dad. I would just kind of understand where his concerns are, and to share a little bit about what I went through is like I went and worked with my parents. I helped them open different locations. I helped them do this. I helped them implement this. I helped them do a lot of things, and eventually I got kind of like wasn't in agreement on the same page with them, and so I ended up leaving and not working with them anymore because I just I didn't work for much. I just kind of worked for free for a lot of time, just helping them out because I saw they had cash flow issues, but I was still helping them out. And so eventually I left that environment to go start my own company. But I learned a lot because I was able to implement a lot of my own ideas that I had at the time, which kind of got refined once I actually became, I started owning my own business and stuff like that. So I would get clear with your parents and see if your dad, like, there's people that go into their 80s and 90s now that want to continue to grow their business. I don't know how old Warren Buffett is, but he's continuing to be an investor and he's still involved in operations. I'm not involved in operations, but in making investing decisions. So like you're like, well, for example, like my parents, like my parents, my dad's I think 65 or so, 68 maybe, and he continues to be involved in the business. They're opening more businesses now. They're not thinking about retirement. So like, how is the situation for your dad? Does he want to be out tomorrow, or does he want to be out next year, or does he want to be going strong 5, 10, 15 years? So like, if he still wants to continue to go strong for more time, then that's gonna stay there with you. You're always gonna be butting heads if you guys are on different, different. You guys have different mindsets on that. So you guys might want to see like what's his time frame for actually wanting to hand over the company, and get a feel if that's really what he wants to do. Maybe he's saying one thing and he's really thinking another. So I would just kind of look at that part about that aspect. And then let me see here. Yeah, that's pretty much covers that part. All right. So next question. It comes from Joe Nugent. And the question they ask is, how do I offer benefits to my team members when I only have a few? Who do I speak with? I own a home inspection and home watch company. I work with people buying a home to inspect it prior to closing to ensure that the home is safe and all the systems and components are working properly. I work with people buying a home to inspect it prior to closing to ensure that the home is safe and all systems and components are working properly. I also work with seasonal residents to look after the slice of paradise. Okay, so Joe, this is a great question again, and I would just ask, like, are your current employees asking you for benefits? Do they even care? Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm just asking a question, right? Do they even care? Like, what if your current employees asked you? I mean, how many employees do you have right now? Would be another question. Like, the ones that you have already, do they offer benefits? And then, like, I would look at other, maybe if you could ask other home watch companies, do they offer benefits? What are the type of benefits they offer? What do their employees think about those benefits? Do they even have benefits? Are there companies that don't have benefits that are thriving? So maybe there's different, different people might want benefits. Some people might not care about benefits. So it's kind of looking to see what your potential staff and then staff are thinking about that type of stuff, right? And do the margins support you being able to offer the benefits? So all those things, I would just kind of take a look at that aspect. Um, I would just put that aspect out there, and there's also other miscellaneous benefits that you can offer, right? Other miscellaneous benefits could be like a certain amount of vacation time after a year, for example, and then planning the idea that the goal is for you to be able to earn more money. So like after a certain period, after a year or so, depending on your work, you will be able to you'll be eligible to get a raise based on these metrics right here, or based on this amount of new sales that you're able to bring in, you're going to receive a certain commission. So based, like, maybe it could be based on their efforts to grow the business, they could earn more money. So that would allow them to, have more cash in their pocket, basically. So I would just kind of look at that part to as far as addressing the thing about benefits. Okay, Quad 30. How soon is too soon in regards to scaling? I'm an owner operator of my construction business. I'm only 23, so there can be a lack of credibility that follows. I would love to get my vision crystallized and put into motion. However, I feel I will face people that may not want to work for a 23-year-old. Okay, so Quay, this is another really great question. And I would say about this is, well, there's a lot of things here. So I would just say, so how soon is to regards to scaling? I would just say, I don't really know. Or basically, you said you're owner operator. You're saying that people might think you're too young. So I'm assuming maybe you don't have any employees right now, or you do have employees right now, or they're young employees, younger than you, because maybe you didn't want to hire somebody older than you. I'm not sure the exact situation, so I'm kind of having to take a guess here, right? So I would want to know, like, how are your numbers doing based on you being by yourself? Profits, employee count, if you have employees. Number two, how much capital do you have? I don't know your situation, so like I'm assuming maybe you're just getting started, so maybe your capital, you don't have a lot of money saved up. But if you do, let's say if you were like had $1 million saved up, I mean, even if you had $1 million saved up, I wouldn't recommend, if you don't have a lot of experience in this business, to just go out and try to, do so much at one time, because, one of the things is that, like, you're growing, but there's a lot of growing pains, I guess you could call it, right? That you're growing this and you're growing that. And if you're getting things that you're not able to manage, and you're going to be spending money left and right and losing money left and right. I'm not in construction, but all businesses, basically you have to be able to watch, where you're spending the money, where it's going, what's profitable. If you're doing, I don't know, drywall construction, then roofing, and then you're seeing if you're kind of too involved and you're being an owner operator, you're not kind of looking at your business, you're not able to see, wait a minute, I'm losing money on this type of construction, but this type of construction, I work less hours and I make more money and I have less staff or something like that, right? So sometimes kind of be able to have a fresh mind you're able to make more money, right? So I would just say, when is it too? You said how soon is too soon in regards to scaling? It's never too soon, but you got to see if you're in the right position to do it, right? And then never too soon. What do you mean by scaling? Do you mean adding more employees? Do you mean like expanding to different cities? Do you mean expanding across different, you going from roofing to drywall, and then from drywall to, different types of outdoor construction and then indoor construction. So like you gotta see what is working for you right now. And I would just say this. I would just say, if you could focus on what's working for you and double down on what's working best for you, just kind of focusing on your most profitable things that you have available. So I would focus, look at your situation right now, take inventory of what you're doing, what you're earning, and see the most profitable things that you're doing right now, and then double and triple down on those most profitable things, because like focusing on your most profitable activities is going to get you even more of that. So like focusing all your effort onto that stuff. So like there's no time, no time, there's no soon. You can start scaling at any moment you want. You just want to make sure you're scaling it with the right thing, in the right department, right? You don't want to scale if you're, this one activity is giving you 10 times more return than this other activity. You don't want to scale them equally. You'd want to scale maybe the part that's giving you 10 times the more of the profits and stuff like that. So I would just kind of focus on that aspect. All right, next question. Next question comes from Gabriel Suarez. Gabriel asks, I'm looking for suggestions or ideas for incentivizing team members for raising their total sales during shifts. Ideally, suggestions that have been tried before with positive outcomes. Business description and background of question. I have a chain of retail stores specializing in natural and holistic wellness. The objective of raising sales can be done in a few ways, like getting more customers, having them come back more after, and in my opinion is the easiest one to be improved and upselling existing customers. My biggest challenge is finding an incentive program that encourages more sales without creating tension between team members. Okay, let me just highlight this real quick. Between members. Okay, I have them in any way feel the reward system is unfair or unfavorable to some. We have some employees that work a lot more hours than others. Some work on busier days than others. Another thing I consider maybe good is reward based on the employee's average sale value instead of total sales or some other metric. We have some stores doing a lot better than others. I'm starting to feel that it's more the staff working in the shops over its location or demographics. I'm the founder of Natural Life Stores, franchise company offering brick and mortar franchise opportunities. Natural Life is a chain of retail wellness and stores, wellness and health stores specializing in all natural products. Okay. So awesome. This is good info. So I'm curious to know what the margins that you have, are they flat across the board? Like do you aim to have like a 50% margin, 100% markup, or something like that on every product? Or is it variable? Like some are 5% and then others are 100%, and then one is 10% and then another one is like 40%. Is it like all variable across the thing? But I would do. I would just say I would just think in this scenario, because what I do in my companies, I give a commission based on the total amount of sales. So I'll give like a certain percentage commission on that. And so I know you said here, my biggest challenge is finding an incentive program that encourages more sales without creating tension between team members. So like, that whole creating tension with team members, like tension is all around us. You can't eliminate tension. Like if you go to a friend's gathering, you're gonna have tension because you might be nervous. You go to a social event, you're gonna have tension. If you go to AO Live, you're gonna have tension. If you go to you go to a friend's house to have some drinks, you're gonna have tension. Tension exists everywhere, and sometimes people will leave. Sometimes people don't like that competitive environment. But who stays are the people that want to grow your sales. And you're gonna see. I believe that you'll see that people will increase your revenue. People will increase your sales, and you'll see that people will promote more products than they will ever promote because there's an incentive. Some people don't care about incentives. Okay, some people don't care about incentives. That's just the facts of life. That some people are more. They want to grow it more than others. Some people that are in AO. Some people want to grow. Some people just want to do other things with their time, right? So what I would say is that the incentives will motivate the people that are already incentivized to be the best who they are, and you're gonna get the best out of those people, and those people are gonna increase your revenue even more. Because and another thing you said here is you said, I'm starting to feel that it's more the staff working in the shops over the location and demographics. And yes, of course, it definitely 100% is the staff working in locations, because a staff that is friendly, that is like greets everybody with, "Hey, how you doing today, Mr. Johnson?" Or, "Hey, this, how you been? How's it going? How's your family? How the kids?" And start a conversation, establish a relationship over the person that's like, "Hi, how can I help you?" All right, yeah. Oh, CBD. Yeah, it's over in the left, on the left right corner over there. And then they go back to seeing their phone or kind of seeing a TikTok or something like that. Like, who are you gonna want to go see? What type of person are you gonna recommend people to? So, kind of setting up, I would say, setting up some sort of sales system to see what are the steps that they need to do, and role playing that stuff out with your staff will first get them at least the skills to be able to have that. But then incentivizing them based on the sales. What I don't like about what you said about average transaction value. What if a person does two sales, and those two sales were of $100 each, for example? But then you had another person that made 100 sales, and they were only $20 each. I mean, who are you going to value more? The person that sold $200 in total versus divided by two is 100, or the person that sold you 200 products for $20 that made you what? 200 times 20. You could do the math on that one, right? I think it's 2,000. 200 times 20. Yeah, well, you guys could do the math for me on that one. But would you, which one would you prefer over that, right? You're gonna want the person that has the most total sales volume, I would assume. So I think that if you incentivize your staff on a commission basis, I feel like you would see a jump, because the people that don't give a damn, they're just there to get the hourly wage. Some of those people are going to be incentivized to actually go for it and to increase the sales that they make during the shift, because they know at the end of the month when they get the commission check, it's going to be $200, $100, $300. And you might think, and so I'll tell you this also, you might think that, okay, let's say if you're selling $20,000 or $30,000, you might be like, man, because I went through this, I had this trouble myself. Like, you're thinking like, oh wow, like if I'm doing $20,000 and sell a month, I'm gonna have to pay out 400. Let's say if it's 2%, you might have to pay $400. But man, what if I just keep that? I don't offer them a commission. I'm just gonna keep that. You can do that, but I guarantee if you pay the commissions on a regular basis, the people are going to increase your sales. You might get. It happened to me in my business. I doubled my sales. I more than doubled my sales when I started doing a weekly. I started doing a commission, and I started doing a weekly prize, and that's something that you can even implement in your company. I know it would give you guys a jump start. So if you have different locations, what you could do is like have a weekly prize that you give to somebody. Out of, let's say if you have 5 franchises, you can give to the best salesperson that sold X amount of money during the week. And then that incentivizes every store to be like, well, maybe this week I could be the winner that wins across the whole entire, Shop Natural Life franchises. Wow, this week I got the weekly prize for being the top salesperson this week. So that's going to incentivize people. That way you can incentivize your best salesperson to be their best, because they're like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna be number one every single week, and then eventually you're gonna see that there's people that are competing for that top spot. So there's like two incentive programs in one there that really can, I know for a fact, that can help you, because I told my parents about this. They have like 5 I think maybe 7 jewelry stores now, and I had them do the same thing that I started doing, and their sales jumped just by implementing this thing. Also, the weekly prizes is something that gets people to recognize and gives them an extra incentive to do. So I will consider those two something that actually people can go after, and the tension is gonna be there. The tension is gonna be there. I mean, you can't really eliminate that. Yeah, I would just consider that part. Maybe something you might want to consider. All right, next question comes from Bhushan Kalvani. The question they asked is, how exactly do I make a buyer persona for my mobile app development business? Okay. How do I know I have created the right ones? And do locations affect personas? Like, do I need to create a different persona based on each region I am trying to target? Okay. Business description and background of question. I have been going through the materials in our AO portal, and I have basic profile persona fields, but still confused about how to make them concise for my business. A little background. I have started a new mobile app development business in 2020 in India, and I have worked with 2 clients. Clients came through referrals. I want to have a steady flow of projects and inquiries, and I would like to target specifically. I would like to target specifically and not at random. This is my first question, but from the materials in our portal, I have learned that it's better to target specifically than to target all. I know this might be a broad question, but any and all feedback would help. As for the clients, I've had international customers from UK and US, and they both were startups. After a while, they asked for features and changes for which they didn't have the budget for, and I lost the client and money. So I don't want to create a persona based on such customers, which would lead to similar experience again. Currently developing the AO app for our community, so that's the third project. And I would like to take clients from across the globe. Would love to get a feedback on how I should go about locations in the persona and how do they affect them. Okay, perfect. So Bushan, so I would say a couple things. Number one is like you might want to get clear, first of all, what type of budget, what type of earnings does a company that you want to target make? Do they make, like for example, do they make 30,000 a year? Do they make 100? Do they make a million? Do they make 5 million? You want to see like who is your ideal person that who is the ideal person that will work with you, that you can help out, right? Or what you call it. So you want to get clear on that. And you might not be clear right now on who that person is, but you might want to look at the people that you work with so far and just kind of see what did you like about them, what did you not like, what was a red flag that you would be cautious for you to work with them again. Is there like a lower tier option that you can offer to somebody that would have kept the other clients on board, right? That way they would have been like, okay, this is the budget for this project. Where maybe you had a lower tier option where it's like, text chat only, email chat only, or something like that. That they could have been on board with, right? So kind of maybe creating different tiers for different people in the meantime. That way you can kind of see and get more experience with different clients. Because right now you have maybe not too. It sounds like not too many people that you have worked with, so you don't have that like the volume to actually see what type of customers are the ones that you're looking for, right? So I would just say first, maybe map out what are the type of customers, what money, what industry are they in, what type of income and revenue do they make, and what are they looking to do, and just see that and take it from there. I would just kind of stick with that, and then yeah, because the two that you had so far came from referrals. So I will get at that, and then you might need to see, like, are you the person that can go out and sell this to people to get more clients? That way you're not just relying on referrals, or, kind of get clear on that aspect about the sales part of your app. So I would say that. And then the last question here comes from Sam Nika, and the question that they asked is, how do I go about selling 6 types of earrings online? Business description and background of question. After much thought, I decided to order 6 different styles of earrings in bulk and want to sell them online through using Shopify. What is the best way to go about this? I think I should focus on marketing strategies mostly, but any help is appreciated. All right, so Sam, like my question to you is, like, what do you do outside of doing this online business? Do you have an existing business? How much capital are you working with? How much at time do you have? Are you doing this part time? Are you doing this full time? Are you doing this like 2 hours a week? Are you doing this 4 hours a week? Do you have an existing job? Do you have an existing business? Do you have another business? What is it that you're kind of focusing at the moment? And I would just kind of focus on that and just get clear, like, so you're going about 6 types of earrings online. Like, how many did you buy? Did you buy 1,000? Did you buy 6? Did you buy 20? Can you replenish these if they become popular? So I would just kind of get clear on what it is that, like, what your situation is. And I would just say, like, selling online, I mean, you're basically creating a new website. You have to drive traffic through, and you have to be able to convert that. So you're going to want to learn. You're going to have to learn this stuff, right? So you might, if you have someone that you can learn from that already has a successful website, then that would be a place to start. You might want to get into some courses so you can learn some of this stuff. You can either learn how to do Facebook ads yourself or get into paying somebody to do that, which can be super expensive. So you're gonna have to figure it out somehow. You know, you could put it on the marketplaces, but if you want to sell it through your website, I would just definitely say that you're gonna have to test and put you're gonna have to figure this part out yourself, because unless you have someone to learn it from. But I would just say that if you're gonna do a Shopify website, I mean, starting a Shopify website is pretty easy. The thing is that you're gonna want to convert that stuff. So like you might want to get like a mentorship as far as like buying a little course and learning and implementing that stuff and implementing new things. They have a bunch of different things that you can learn from on there. So I would just kind of take it one step at a time and take it from there. So that's the last question of the day. So I appreciate all the questions, guys. Keep them coming, and I appreciate it. Appreciate everything that AO is offering everybody, all the members. So have a great rest of your day, guys. Have a good one.